My name is Joshua Lamens. I'm the Rainbow Warrior, watchman and faith keeper of the land of peace and the Western Door. This territory is in the Pacific Northwest and spans from the coastal mountain range to the foothills of the Rockies, cut off by the Cascades, and sits in the north. This prophecy is going out to the North American churches and temples and to those who are in religious positions of authority and have taken more than they should. There are many predictions and apocalyptic calculations given out like candy for the next several years. There are many prophecies and words coming from all sorts of people, from scientists, concerned citizens, to New Agers, Christians, and YouTube opportunists. Dealing with the Mayan calendar to connections that will usher in an end or a new beginning. There is some truth in what is being said, and even the shadow of humanity calls for something to move. However, there's not much about hope and how a meek people, are going to inherit the earth. In this prophecy, you will answer to what is about to happen. There's been a veil that has lifted in recent years that has allowed an opening in the ways of the Spirit that applies to the entire human race. From the ability to connect between each other in a spiritual way and to connect with unseen realities in the spirit world, affecting both true and untrue phenomenon. Untruth has been well prepared for this opening. It knows the frequency of truth, and it knows what to do with the heart and intent of the church. It is using a mimic of God's love to take and use this worship and praise for himself. The second you worship or pray, or when you raise your hands in your meetings and the threat of ego comes, when you feel the need to be special or as somebody in your actions before others, in your spirituality, that threat of God is lost and then taken elsewhere. This includes prayer, worship, praise, giftings, and every offering that God has for his people. You don't really want what truth wants, but you want what you want. I've paid the price to say what I'm bringing you. I've waited patiently for many years before having to go public with a word that is hard to bring to a people I intercede for. This quote comes from American Horse, a chief from the Oglala Lakota. There was a woman with an infant in her arms who was killed as she almost touched the flag of truce. A mother was shot down with her infant. The child, not knowing that its mother was dead, was still nursing. The women, as they were fleeing with their babies, were killed together, shot right through. And after most of them had been killed, a cry was made that all those who were not killed or wounded should come forth and they would be safe. Little boys came out of their places of refuge, and as soon as they came in sight, a number of soldiers surrounded them and butchered them there. You have killed enough indigenous peoples. This does not even touch what has happened on the world scene and initiated by North America, which is deeper and wider than most could ever imagine, to the church. This is the foundation you were built on here in North America. Make no mistake, this is your legacy. It is something that has been transmitted and received from your predecessors from the past till now. It is the legacy of pain and suffering. The indigenous population was in your care as human beings, not because they should have been as such, but because they were a problem to the process of colonization. How many natives did you convert that held up the cross or stood in groups singing hymns while they were slaughtered? How many were murdered because they just wanted to live their lives as they had before? In the end, it was in the millions. To the modern day church, this is your legacy. Even recently, were you there when 12,000 Navajo were relocated from Arizona, signed by Senator John McCain in 1998? You may say this was not you. This was not the church but it was. You have stood by and were complicit by doing nothing, and you have been found wanting. As of December of this year, there will be a purge, the likes you have never seen before. Look what you have done to the native Indians. With a sword in one hand and Bible in the other. If you don't take responsibility for this, the responsibility will and has come to you. From the grace of God, you have bound this grace into law, and now you have turned your Christianity into hate. Because of this foundation, the result is inevitable. The earth does not forget the blood that was shed. The Creator does not forget the prayers of desperation from a good people, from the native councils, the leadership that you mocked, to the acts of worship to God, even the ghost dance, and to the cries of help to the one true Creator. And then you slaughtered them. This blood is on your head, as it is also on the head of the nations in North America, founded on Christian principles, who instituted it, who killed the indigenous peoples. But now it is the time of the great recompense, as what must be given by way of compensation for the damage incurred. This is called the great balance. Because there has been no offering a request of forgiveness in actions, as words are meaningless, as history has made this very clear over and over again. Many talk about the end of the Mayan calendar, but most have missed the point that the end of this Mayan era came from the words and hearts of an indigenous people, and it is now the beginning of the children of the rainbow, the children of light, as also prophesied by the indigenous peoples. There is a revolution starting, and the structure of the church is not invited. This revolution is for the meek, and it will not end in 5 or 6 years, but will grow until the gentle and humble of heart inherit the earth. Those from the margins will gain favor with God, and to those who love Him and know the simple ways of His heart. You, the church, do not. Your worship has begun to reflect off the walls in your churches, exciting each other as to think that your specialness means anything. But for the grace of God, go I. If my people, who are called by my name, shall humble themselves and pray and seek my face and turn from their wicked ways, then I will hear from heaven and will forgive their sin and will heal their land. This is your hope. You have never considered the land, have you, Mother Earth? Your understanding of dominion was usurpation by seizing and killing, taking without a balance that Mother Nature needs to survive. Now you will pay the price that will answer the prayers of those that have gone before you. And you will pay the price, as you didn't listen to your mother when she cried out, "Take care of me, or I will turn myself over." The surviving church will be given to those that will love all without judgment, and will love as God loves you, regardless of color, creed, ethnicity, even religion. To this body I say, grow and help each other, listen, ask questions, and live in the simple things you know to be true. Store provisions and plant food. Start food banks for your church, your friends and family and community, and serve each other and to those that need your help, together, celebrating life and respecting the land. Share what you have. Invest in each other's creativity and work, not in things that will soon become meaningless. Stop the activities that keep you from the real, and be active in kindness, goodness, faithfulness. Keep your word. Act on being in control. Be at peace and know that your joy is your strength, and that there is no law against gentleness, love, even music. Take care of replenishing fresh water. Let the men be men and the women be women, as there will be no more equality between the sexes. Equal rights has gone too far, and enough is enough. Men and women are not equal. They are different. So celebrate the differences and find your place where a balance can be established. The opportunity is coming for this to happen naturally. Men, you need to build a brotherhood to strengthen each other, as you need to wake up and provide equitably to protect and serve your family, friends, and those around you. It is time for you to be men again and to set your mind to purpose. Hitler's concept of concentration camps, as well as the practicality of genocide, owed much, so he claimed, to the studies of North American history, and he often praised to his inner circle the efficiency of America's extermination by starvation and uneven combat of the red savages that could not be untamed by captivity. These words came from John Toland. What have we forgotten and ignored has caused a dark shadow of shame and guilt upon this land. Many years ago, the newcomers came to these lands, and they were kept alive by the indigenous people. By thanking them, the newcomers murdered or enslaved them in one way or another, and over time the numbers reached in the tens of millions. If there is no humbling of the people in North America and the church, these things will occur, and the same tactics that were placed on the indigenous peoples will now be placed on you. Subjugation, a state of being under the control through fear, oppression of a people, persecution, and the act of conquering, the tyranny of social control. Extermination is the annihilation of something that causes so much damage that it cannot be repaired or no longer exists. And if this fails, there will be incarceration, internment camps like reservations or concentration camps. People are most commonly incarcerated upon suspicion or conviction of committing a crime. Incarceration serves 4 essential purposes with regards to those seen as criminals who break the rule of law, for which the governing body can ultimately prescribe a conviction by isolating them, a method of prevention to punish them for committing crimes, to deter others from committing crimes, or rehabilitate these criminals. Internment is the imprisonment or confinement of people, commonly in large groups without trial, confined usually for preventative or political reasons, and imprisonment, which is being closely interred as a punishment for a crime. Concentration camp is a guarded compound for the detention or imprisonment of enemy aliens, members of ethnic minorities, terrorists, political prisoners or opponents, civilians, and sometimes prisoners of war, where they are detained, confined, tortured, murdered, and live typically under harsh conditions. Assimilation, a re-education model to control the population through brainwashing and personal and psychological violation of you as a people, something that also has happened to the native population. Termination and relocation, taking what you think you own and relocate you to isolate you from your kin, your land, and your homes. When this is all over, will you be a human being? There was a time when humanity would have cried out, "God help us," but your cry now will be, "God, where were you when we suffered this pain?" You have called this upon yourselves, because you never stood by those who were subjugated, exterminated, incarcerated, and assimilated, but only a few. Don't even think for 1 minute that there is the rapture to save you. Unless you become the meek and listen to these words given to you today, then there stands a chance of hope. However, the rain that will come will fall on the just and the unjust. The trail of tears will come full circle as you have ignored the cries of the human beings. The Holocaust of World War II was nothing in comparison to what has happened in North America and is still happening today. From the words of Black Elk, a medicine man of the Oglala Lakota, I did not know then how much was ended. When I look back now from this high hill on my old age, I can still see the butchered women and children lying heaped and scattered all along the crooked gulch, as plain as when I saw them with my eyes young. I can see that something else died there in the bloody mud and was buried in the blizzard. A people's dream died there. It was a beautiful dream. The nation's hoop is broken and scattered. There's no center any longer, and the sacred tree is dead. I place a blessing on the corrupted structure of the church and temples. You will be fruitful when you act according to the true way of heart, a true way of being. If not, you will lose everything you have. North America will not fall from an external power, but will fall unto itself. My people, global governments, and social control is the least of your problems in the days ahead. The Creator is doing a new thing, however. It will spring forth. Will you not be aware of it? He will even make a roadway in the wilderness and rivers in the desert to give drink to his people, his chosen. And who are God's people? You all are. And he is calling your name. This word I have given is an abandonment judgment from the Creator, save the remnant. You have 1 year to comply to these very simple tasks. Thus saith the Lord.